I think most people would likely identify as having no religious affiliation or as secular. But I think that for those people who are skeptical that there is a God or that there is any supernatural reality, I would pose a challenge. The ground rules of the challenge are to assume that neither that any religion nor that secularism is true. Instead, investigate. Personal experience, philosophy, history, sociology, as well as religious texts, in order to compare systems of belief and to weigh how much sense they make in comparison with one another. Every single person certainly will come to the discussion with a point of view and have some hope of seeing their own worldview look stronger by way of this process of evaluation. But if you are to be open to critique and willing to admit flaws and problems in your way of looking at things, some way about how you view the world is bound to change. It's true that believers and non-believers in God alike arrive at their positions through a combination of experience, faith, reasoning, and intuition. I listened to a famous pastor try this exercise with people once, and he told how he routinely hears skeptics say to him afterward things like, "I wish I'd known before that this kind of religious belief and this way of thinking about faith existed. I've never had this much food for thought around these issues offered before." These are coming from the same people who say that Christianity makes no sense in the real natural world we live in, and so has no rational merit. They say that religious people try to impose their beliefs on others, but when secular people make their case, they just have facts, right? And people who disagree are closing their eyes to those facts. If there is one thing I could offer to people, especially the most skeptical who may think the good news lacks cultural relevance, I would offer the same food for thought. If you were to compare the beliefs and claims of Christianity with the beliefs and claims of the secular view, asking which one makes more sense of a complex world and human experience, you might reach an unexpected conclusion. This has happened to many people. I can think of Alistair McGrath, a former atheist, who has studied things like mathematics, physics, and chemistry and holds a doctorate for his research in molecular biophysics. He tells his story as this, quote, "I was discovering that Christianity was far more intellectually robust than I had ever imagined. I had some major rethinking to do, and by the end, my decision was made. I turned my back on one faith and embraced another." Or I can think of Lee Strobel, a famous legal editor, writer, and journalist for a prominent newspaper. He says he was an atheist when he began investigating the biblical claims about Christ after his wife's conversion. Prompted by the results of this investigation, he then became a Christian. He says this, he says, "As a skeptic, I was shocked to find that the historical evidence is so solid. There's an avalanche of data. I was thoroughly stunned by the quantity and quality of the evidence for Christ." Wow. Going back to my idea of comparing and contrasting the beliefs and claims of Christianity with the beliefs and claims of the secular, I want to clarify when I use the word secular, I use it in a couple of ways. A secular person is one who does not know if there is a God or any supernatural realm beyond the natural world. Everything according to this view has a scientific explanation. Also, the term may describe the particular kind of culture we live in, with its specific narratives. A secular age is one in which all the emphasis is on the here and now without any concept of the eternal. Meaning in life, guidance, and happiness are understood and sought in present time ways like economic prosperity, material comfort, and emotional fulfillment. There's another important distinction too. Pastor Tim Keller helps point out this common distinction of secularism as well. Individuals could profess to not be secular people and to have religious faith, yet at the practical level, the existence of God may have no noticeable impact on their life decisions and conduct. This is because in a secular age, even religious people tend to choose things like lovers, spouses, careers, friendships, financial options, with no higher goal than their own present-time personal happiness. sacrificing peace and affluence for transcendent causes, becomes rare, even for people who say they believe in things like absolute values and eternity. Even if you are not a secular person, the secular age can thin out faith until it's seen as simply one more choice in life, no different than your job, hobbies, recreational activities, etc., rather than as the comprehensive framework that determines all life choices. We live in an age that claims to value reason, the evolution of human progress, and the right for all to choose their own most authentic expression of meaning, purpose, and joy. So does the notion of a God or a higher power make sense? Do faith and religion offer anything of value at all to the modern world? What if Christianity provided us with unequaled resources to answer questions regarding fulfillment, personal freedom, justice, and hope? Many people have reached an assumption and convinced themselves that the Christian faith is an outdated and uneducated belief system. These misconceptions and challenges are easily countered, however. That's part of why I urgently want to challenge people to think carefully about the choice we have between essentially the two choices most prevalent in our current culture: the Christian world or the notion of a godless universe devoid of true goodness or ultimate significance. Is Christianity irrational? Well, atheists often say that it is, but does such a charge really stand up to close scrutiny? I was once surprised to discover that Christianity actually provides a more compelling explanation of what it means to be human than atheism could ever hope to offer. I firmly think that believers should learn to look for reasons behind their faith, but just like the believers, I think skeptics must learn to look for a type of faith hidden within their own reasoning. All doubts, however skeptical and cynical they may seem, are really a set of alternate beliefs. You cannot doubt belief A except from a position of faith in belief B. For example, if you doubt Christianity because you say there can't be just one true religion, well, then you must recognize that this statement is itself an act of faith. No one can prove it empirically, and it's not a universal truth that everyone accepts. If you went to the Middle East and said there can't be just one true religion, nearly everyone would say, well, why not? The reason you doubt Christianity's belief A is because you hold unprovable belief B. Every doubt, therefore, is based on a leap of faith. Some people say, well, I don't believe in Christianity because I can't accept the existence of moral absolutes. Everyone should just determine moral truth for him or herself. Is that a statement they can prove to someone who doesn't share it? No, it's a leap of faith, a deep belief of their own. There's no empirical proof for such a position. So the doubt of moral absolutes is also a leap. Some will respond to all of what I'm saying here and say, my doubts are not based on a leap of faith. I have no beliefs about God one way or another. I simply feel no need for God and I am not interested in thinking about it. But really, it's the very modern belief that the existence of God is a matter of indifference unless it happens to intersect with my emotional needs. The person saying this is betting his or her life that no God exists who would hold you accountable for your beliefs and behavior if you didn't feel the need for him. That may be true, or it may not be true, but again, it's quite a leap of faith. I think the only way to doubt Christianity rightly and fairly is to discern the alternate beliefs under each of your own doubts and then to ask yourself what reasons you have for believing it. How do you know your belief is true? It would be inconsistent to require more justification for the Christian's belief than you do for your own, but that is frequently what happens. In fairness, you must doubt your own doubts, as I heard a famous pastor once put it. I personally believe that if you come to recognize the beliefs on which your doubts about Christianity are based on, and if you seek as much proof for those beliefs as you seek from Christians for theirs, I know you will discover that your doubts are not as solid as they first appeared to be. Essentially, I urge skeptics to wrestle with the unexamined blind faith that most skepticism is based on, and to see just how hard it is to justify those beliefs to those who do not share them. In addition, I also urge believers to wrestle with their personal objections and their culture's objections to the faith. At the end of that process, even if you remain the skeptic or remain the believer you have been, you will hold your own position with both greater clarity and greater humility.